Well, hi, welcome to my kitchen. We are going to do an experiment, and you can try this experiment at home with your grown-up if they say it's okay. We have been learning about matter, and we remembered that matter is anything that takes up space. So we are matter because we take up space. We found out that air is matter because if we blow into a balloon, that balloon gets bigger, doesn't it? So that shows us that air takes up space. And we know that water can take up space too, because if we pour water on a table, what happens? It spreads out and takes up more space, doesn't it? So we're going to do a little experiment to see how we can change our matter from a solid into a liquid, into a gas, back into a liquid, and then ultimately we could even make it go back into a solid. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look here, and this is a glass of ice cubes. Now, an ice cube is what? It's solid. That means that the molecules are all really tight together. They're just really tight. They can hardly move, right? So they're going to keep their shape. But if we take our ice cube and we put it into our pan here, okay, we can see that already it's starting to melt. You can see how they just glide around there, and you can see little bits of water right there. Okay, if we left this out for a very long time, this would all melt, wouldn't it? But we're going to speed it up. We're going to see if we can get this ice, this solid, to move into a liquid. And what do you think we need to add to it to make it change? We need to add heat, right? Okay, so I'm going to turn on my burner here. All right, see that? That fire there? Turn off the click, 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 click. All right, so I'm going to put that on there, and my cameraman, my son John, he's my cameraman, he is coming over to help me. Now, can you see how it's already starting to turn to a liquid? Look at that. Doesn't take too long for ice to melt into a liquid. And you notice that in the wintertime when it starts to get a little bit warmer, you can see the icicles that start to drip, 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 right? Oh, wow. Can you see there's little bubbles starting down on the bottom? We're already starting to get our gas forming. Okay, so you can see they're getting smaller and smaller. The ice cube, the solid part's getting smaller. That's because as it heats up, it's those molecules that were really tight like this, they're going, hey, it's getting kind of hot in here. I need a little extra room. So they're starting to spread out, okay? And you see how they're spreading out? Look, it's making liquid. Now, what do you think's going to happen if we leave that on there for a while? Do you think those are going to disappear? Well, let's watch and see. They're almost all gone, aren't they? And you can kind of see some little bubbles down on the bottom. Now, pretty soon, those bubbles are going to start moving. Because when a liquid gets really, really hot, remember, on a solid, it starts out, they're really close together, and then the solid, they get warmer, and they start spreading out, and they say, I need more room. And then the hotter they get, the more they start going, I need so much room! And they just go crazy, okay? So, let's watch and see if that starts to happen. All my ice cubes are gone. All my solids are gone. Oh, can you see? Oh, maybe come over here a little bit. You can see them right there. You can see how it's starting to shake a little bit. Those bubbles are filling with gas, and they're coming up to the top. But they're just still very tiny. Ooh, some of them are getting a little bit bigger. I'm going to move this back so it's all on the heat. Can you see? They're starting to get really fast. I think if I was that hot, I would be moving really fast too. Have you ever gone to the beach and you walk on the sand on a hot sunny day? You don't just walk down nice and slow in your bare feet, do you? because that sand is very, very hot. You're like, ah, right? Moving your feet really fast. Now look how big our bubbles are getting. Now, I'm going to turn this, I don't know if I turn this light off, I don't know if you'll be able to see the steam coming up or not. Oops, that's not the right one. No, not really. All right, well, maybe when you're at your house, if you do this with your grown-up, or you can even do this when your mom or dad, if they fix something like spaghetti or pasta, sometimes you can see the steam coming out of the pot. Even with a hot cup of coffee, you can see that coming up. And that steam is actually a gas. Now, I'm going to take my lid and I'm going to capture some of that steam. And right now that steam is going up and just floating around the air, okay, all through my kitchen, right? But if I put this lid on, I'm going to capture some of that steam right here on my lid. And then when it gets cooled down, you can see that what happens to the steam. What do you think is going to happen to it? Let's find out. Look how fast those bubbles are going. All right, I'm going to put my lid on it. Hey, you can kind of see the steam coming out the side. Look right here, and you can see little water bubbles there, right? Now watch, I'm going to pull this off. Ooh, it's hot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, Mrs. Gorman's going to use her handy dandy oven mitts because she's a weenie. Ah, you see that water in there? Now you can see the steam coming up, can't you? And that now it's cooling down, and as it cools down, it's turning back into water. All right, so now I'm going to turn this off. And what do you think? You see the bubbles are stopping as it gets cooler. I'm going to take it off the heat, and look, my bubbles are going away, and now I just have a liquid. So that means my wild and crazy molecules are slowing down, and now they're just a nice, calm liquid. What would I have to do if I wanted to change that water into a solid? I could pour it back into here. I don't think it's a good idea to pour it in when it's still hot. That could probably crack my glass. But if I poured it back into here and I wanted to make it solid again, what would I need to do with it? What would I need to do with it? Put it in my freezer, right? And then what would happen? It would turn back into an ice cube. Now, this is a really good thing to do during the summertime. We used to do this all the time when my kids were little. We would take orange juice and we get some little Dixie cups, little tiny paper cups, and we'd pour about half of a glass in there, and then we took a little like saran wrap or wax paper, and we put it over the top of the cup, so it's like over top of this, like here, and then we stuck a little hole down the middle of the wax paper or plastic wrap or whatever you're using, and then we took like a popsicle stick and we stuck it right down in the middle, and that paper helps to keep your stick to be straight up and down. Then we stuck it in the freezer for an hour or two, and then when we came back, we took it out and we took that paper off. We just slid it right off the stick, and the stick is standing straight up. We let it sit out for a couple minutes, and it started to melt, and then we could just take that stick and we just lift up a homemade orange juice popsicle. And you could do that with any kind of liquid. So you could do a grape juice one, you could do a Kool-Aid one, you could do pineapple juice. And so that's a really tasty treat, and it's science. So isn't that really cool? All right, so one thing I have to make sure to tell you, you cannot do this experiment by yourself. It's not safe to do by yourself. You can only do it with a grown-up. You got it? All right, we got to stay safe. All right, so I think that's all I wanted to tell you in this video. I've got one or two other things that are pretty fun that I want to do with you. So go ahead, take a little break, and I'll see you back on the next video. Bye.